What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and I want to continue to talk about what we are seeing at training camp and give you some of the early takeaways that I have noticed. But first off, let's continue to update. We can all take a sigh of relief, take a deep breath, because it looks like Justin Fields and the Jets avoided serious injury. Remember when he went down and he was carted off? People were apoplectic in Jets universe, right? The idea, oh, here we go again. But look, literally the next day he was out there jogging on the field, signing autographs, didn't really participate, but he was out there. We saw clips of him running, and it looks like he will be just fine. Remember, week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers is still about 6 weeks away, okay? So it even sounds like he could be back at practice doing things this week. So all is okay with our QB1. I think that's the first thing we need to talk about. But a guy I do want to talk about today is someone who our QB1 may be throwing the ball to a little bit more than originally anticipated, and it is our rookie wide receiver out of Georgia, Arian Smith. Now listen, when he was drafted, right, in the 4th round, a lot of people said, oh, this was a reach. Oh, he had so many drops. Oh, this was a bad pick by the new regime. I have been talking about this the entire time, that his speed is something that you absolutely cannot teach. The 4.2, 4.3 speed. Remember, he was on the Georgia track team that finished 2nd in the NCAAs in the 4x100, and we've had reports throughout minicamp and OTAs that he was really working on things, that he was really kind of getting better. And now there have been multiple reports at the start of camp that Arian Smith has had a good start. And I think these few quotes are pretty interesting. First of all, from Josh Reynolds, who is kind of, the elder statesman, the veteran wide receiver of the group. He says about Arian, he takes a lot of stuff in. He's a good student, and he transfers it to the field. That's good for a rookie when it's hard for a lot of them to transfer it to the field from the locker room or the classroom. He's done a great job with that. That's what Josh Reynolds had to say. I also thought it was interesting because, remember, the knock on Arian Smith coming into the league after Georgia was that he dropped the ball, right? And I have been saying, listen, I don't care. Obviously not that I don't care, but the defenses still have to respect his speed, even if there is a drop issue, and what that can do for guys like Mason Taylor and Josh Reynolds. But I thought it was interesting. Former Jet wide receiver, you remember him, Quincy Enunwa, actually said something that intrigued me. He said, quote, "That was a similar thing that I had as a knock coming out of college, and I definitely think that can be fixed." That's what Enunwa had to say. And listen, that's something that can't be fixed. You know something that can't be fixed or taught or improved upon? The 4.3 speed. So I think this is really good. It's nice to see guys like Josh Reynolds talking about it, and I think his role is clear in this offense. He is going to be a guy who's going to be able to take the top off the defense. Now, I still think Reynolds is going to be the wide receiver 2 on this team, but Arian Smith could get the 3rd most kind of snaps as he ascends a little bit and plays that role to really be that deep threat for this offense. So I think that is one of my early takeaways from camp. I got to tell you another one, and it doesn't even really have to do with a player or any single player. It is once again about this culture that I keep on talking about. You may have seen late in the week at training camp, there was buzz that refs, officials are going to be there as much as possible at training camp, really kind of giving you a real game feel, really kind of putting that emphasis, that focus on being disciplined, on, attention to detail, and not making silly mistakes. Remember, turnovers and penalties is something we have been talking about here on Jets Latest. And quite frankly, Aaron Glenn was very explicit about it, very unabashed about how this is something the Jets need to fix. Listen to what he had to say, and quite frankly, I love that this is our head coach. He goes, "I want the officials here as much as possible. It's no secret that we were the most penalized team in the league last year. So that's one of the things I want to nip in the butt early, making sure that the discipline part of what we do is something we fix now. You cannot win games in this league with an undisciplined team. All those penalties we had last year, we're knocking those things out. We want to make sure that we're good at that. Even the details of what we do. We're striving for perfection in that situation. The officials are going to be here, and we're going to knock that out. We're going to knock these penalties out. We are going to understand that undisciplined teams do not win games." I thought that was a clear message. How many times did you hear him, even just in that quote, "We're going to knock that out"? Undisciplined does not win games. We've also heard other members of the Jets, guys like Elijah Vera Tucker talking about how this is a change. Remember, over the last couple of years, the Jets were the most penalized team in the league. If you are a Jets fan, you know it. How many times did we have a nice play get called back by a penalty? Dumb penalties, in fact. Or we get off the field on third down, but there is a penalty. This is a huge difference in terms of that culture, that expectation with this identity of the team. And I like that, it's great to talk about stuff, right? But literally having the officials there as much as possible creates that feel and that expectation from camp. And I think that Glenn, the new coaches, the new regime are finding ways to truly implement that vision. I think that is actually a really important detail because, listen, Robert Saleh, the previous regime, they could have done that. And they neglected to do that. They were asked about that. They were just all gas, no brake, right? But this attention to detail, discipline is something you continue to hear from Aaron Glenn and the crew. And a lot of Jets here are talking about an increased level of accountability. And you're hearing it from Jets leaders. You're hearing it from Elijah Vera Tucker. You're hearing it from guys like Garrett Wilson and kind of breadcrumbs of quotes throughout the time. Now, we started this episode with good injury news, in my opinion, as it relates to Justin Fields. So I want to end with a topic that is good injury news for the green and white. And this comes from social media. Our guy, Germaine Johnson, put this on social media last week. He goes, just landed back from LA after checking with my surgeon and my team out there, and I'm cleared, y'all. After I was told that, these past 10, 11 months flashed in my head, and man, it was tough. But through God's grace and guidance, I prevailed against all physical, mental, and emotional hurdles. God is so great, man. So great. I think this is huge news. Like, we're hearing a lot of good stuff about Will McDonald also, how he kind of added weight to be able to set the edge in the run game. Remember, he had double-digit sacks last year. If he can repeat that, Will McDonald would be the first Jet to have double-digit sacks in back-to-back years in something like 20 years. And let's not forget about who Jermaine Johnson was as a kind of ascending edge rusher, okay? He had 7.5 sacks when he was last time a full-time starter in 2023. A really good pressure rate, right? He was rated as the 18th best edge rusher in the NFL, okay? Add that to Will McDonald, right? He led the Jets edge rushers in 23 with 11 tackles for loss. He's well-rounded. I continue to say that. The 45 QB pressures, the 15 run stops, 10 tackles for loss, right? So I really believe that when you combine him with Will McDonald, that is a good young combination here at the kind of edge rusher. Will take some of the pressure off a guy like Quinnen Williams in the middle, who we already talk about. Remember, we've also talked about how Sherwood and Quincy, who, by the way, both seem to be flashing that speed at camp as well, will be blitzing a little bit more. It really does all seem like the vision is coming together for what Wilks and Glenn want to do on defense. And remember, every time I talk about the back end of the defense, I talk about the man coverage. I talk about the press man, lanky, tall corners that we have, right? So this is the vision. And it is very clear to us as Jets fans, and that's another thing I am excited about, and it seems like a lot of you guys have been going out to Jets practice as well, and that looks clear to me as well, that there is an excitement, an optimism, a kind of pride that is starting to be instilled in the Jets fan. And by the way, I see it in some of the comments here as well, right? So some of your comments I think are great. I want to give a shout out to RTW, RTW-B7P. Some of these names are hysterical, but big shout out to you. He goes, lifer Jets fan here. Last season, the owner gave up 5 games in, and Jets fans gave up as well. It's been a long time since I've had fun watching them. I've never given up, though, no matter what. And I agree, Dane. Calm expectations and see how it goes. This could be something big. He goes, I just don't know if our QB1 is the guy. We shall see. Prove me wrong, please. QB1, Jets, 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 Jets. And that's the thing. We haven't been excited. It hasn't been fun to be a Jets fan, and I think this is building in the right direction, okay? RTW, BP7 says that not sure about Justin Fields. I understand that is the hesitation, right? Because it looks like this is his third stop after Chicago and after Pittsburgh, but I am still encouraged that Fields is a really good fit for this organization and franchise, the familiarity and comfort he has with guys like Garrett Wilson, Ruckert, Myers, and others, and the creativity of Tanner Engstrand really kind of unlocking that dual threat ability. I believe he is our QB1. So out there, I understand the hesitation, but have no fear. I think you will be excited once we get to the end of this season. Also, Jetski Foldel 8042 says, look what happened to Jordan Love. His leg got twisted in week 1 last year. They said 6 weeks, and he was back in 3. So I think Justin Fields will play week 1, just my opinion. I do too, and it does look like we have kind of dodged the bullet on that one, because if it was more serious than that, they wouldn't allow him out there on the practice field. They wouldn't allow him on tape so people could see him running around, right? So I think that was done purposefully to kind of demonstrate that, hey, the sky is not falling here. I think Justin Fields is going to be just fine in week 1. I think we're going to see Justin Fields on the practice field again very, very soon. And then Old Dave 1000, big shout out to Old Dave. Old Dave has been here with Jets Latest commenting, and I love all your comments. I love your engagement, okay? Tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. Like these videos, watch these videos, subscribe to the channel. We're building a community here on Jets Latest. I appreciate all you guys and gals that are commenting, and Old Dave definitely does. He says, about a previous video when I was talking about wide receiver 1, 2, who will be the guy next to Quinnen Williams. He goes, I think most fans are overrating the need for more depth at wide receiver, but underestimating the need at defensive tackle, and that Leonard Taylor will prove to be a player in that hunt. And listen, I agree. That's why I talked about Arian Smith today, okay? I think Josh Reynolds is the wide receiver too. Stable, veteran, hands guy, right? But you're going to have Arian Smith. You're going to have Malachi Corley, hopefully. Mason Taylor is flashing, to be honest, as the tight end position to add to the passing game. And then remember, with this offensive line, with the dual threat of Justin Fields, we're going to be a run-heavy team. That's what Aaron Glenn, I think, wants to do, to be able to kind of control the game, be aggressive, violent, physical, and control the clock. As for the defensive tackle, a lot of Jets fans think about Leonard Taylor. And I talked really more about the new additions, right? I talked about Noddy, I talked about Cowart, but Leonard Taylor could be in that mix as well. And what I've been really trying to say is, and I'm not trying to disparage these guys, but Leonard Taylor, Cowart, Noddy, if all 3 of them can in rotation be solid, what if that is the weak link? Because you're next to Quinnen Williams. We got our edge rushers. We have our linebackers. We have our secondary, right? We're not going to be Pro Bowlers everywhere. But literally, if you look at the other levels of the defense, cornerback and safety with Cisco flashing, our linebackers, both Sherwood and Quincy, Pro Bowl level, right? Our edge rushers, productive. Quinnen, all pro. If we have another interior defensive lineman like a Noddy, Coward, Taylor combination that is just solid, that's okay. You know what I mean? So I really do agree that maybe we're underestimating that need, but I think we have players who will rise to the occasion there, and I think the wide receiver room is just fine, including Arian Smith, who continues to flash. So that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. It's an excited week as everyone gets back together. We're going to continue to hear more. I'm going to be giving you the quotes from training camp. I'm going to be giving you who's looking good, who kind of needs to impress, and what we are seeing with the green and white in the first training camp under Aaron Glenn, Darren Moji, and with Justin Fields. It does feel exciting, and I hope you are excited to not only see what's going on, but to get all your insights here from Jets Latest. And if you want to hear more from me, remember, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM, Channel 87. That is the fantasy channel. It is fantasy football draft season, okay? So I'm always here to help you win your leagues and win that cash. FTN Fantasy is a great website, rankings, content, a lot of great data and tools to help you be a better fantasy player. If you want to ask me questions, hit me up on social media at Spittin' Speeds. Hit me up in the comments. As you see, I try to bring your guys' comments to light here on the show. That's what we do with Jets Latest, and we will continue to all week long see what's going on at training camp for the Jets, Jets. That'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. We'll see you tomorrow, but for now, we're out of here. Peace.